Good day, Royal Watchers. Buckle up, because this is one of those moments where the royal soap opera does not just jump the shark. It builds a runway, lights it up, and takes off at full throttle. If you thought the Sussex saga had peaked with memoirs, lawsuits, and suspiciously dramatic car chases, think again. Today's story has more twists than a Melbourne laneway and more intrigue than a Buckingham Palace back staircase. Something is unfolding, fast, messy, and with global consequences, and it all allegedly begins at Los Angeles International Airport. Quick favor before we dive headfirst into this royal roller coaster. If you are enjoying this kind of sharp, no-nonsense royal breakdown, hit that subscribe button and tap the notifications bell. It is free, it takes a second, and it helps Royal Top Stories keep the lights on. Thank you if you did. Now, back to the show. Here is where things get spicy. Multiple reports, whispers from airport staff, aviation watchers, and sources circling the Sussex orbit claim that Meghan Markle was spotted at LAX making a very low-profile, very uncharacteristic departure. No blacked-out convoy, no polished paparazzi moment, no carefully curated exit. Instead, the kind of discreet movement that screams urgency rather than glamour. Oversized sunglasses, scarf pulled high, cap down low, less Hollywood Duchess, more witness protection chic. Now, here is the hook that really snaps the neck. This was not a family trip. This was not a London visit. This was not Canada. The alleged ticket was one way, destination Dubai. And while that alone would raise eyebrows, what happened almost simultaneously across the Atlantic turns this from curious to explosive. Reports suggest Prince Harry contacted legal and financial advisors in a panic, claiming around $12 million had vanished from joint accounts. Not misplaced, not delayed, gone. Pause. Breathe, because this is where timelines matter. According to insiders, this all began early morning Los Angeles time, and usually when the Duchess of Sussex travels, it is less trip and more military operation, security teams, advanced planning, coordinated optics. Today, none of that. Just a quiet arrival at a private terminal, minimal support, and a noticeable absence of Harry. That absence is the first crack in the glass. The second crack is Dubai itself. This is not a random destination you pick while scrolling flights half asleep. Dubai is a financial fortress, a privacy paradise for the ultra-wealthy, a jurisdiction where money can move quickly and questions move slowly, a place where legal processes do not mirror those of the United States or the United Kingdom. In short, it is not where you go for a short break and a bit of retail therapy. And then comes the $12 million question, literally. 12 is not a rounded figure. It is not vague. It suggests something specific, a lump sum, a transfer, possibly the remains of advances, settlements, or liquidated assets. Insiders claim Harry discovered accounts drained or severely reduced, the kind of discovery that makes your stomach drop faster than a failed bungee jump. Now, imagine the scene. Montecito, the sprawling mansion, the staff, the security costs ticking up by the hour, and a prince who built his entire post-royal identity on a single idea: us against the world. When the money goes, the machine stops, security falters, staff leave, influence evaporates. Without liquidity, the Sussex lifestyle becomes unsustainable, fast. Here's where this stops being gossip and starts edging into serious territory. If funds moved without consent and crossed borders, financial crime units get interested, banks flag activity, lawyers wake up very alert, and if one party is allegedly in the air while the other is making frantic calls, the optics are brutal. It looks less like separation and more like strategic retreat. But let us slow down and pivot, because context matters. Could this be theft, or could this be something colder and more calculated? In high net worth relationships, especially those creaking under strain, asset positioning often begins well before any public split. It's called divorce planning. Secure the cash, move it somewhere hard to reach, then file. If the money was joint, access may have been legal, even if morally explosive. The difference between betrayal and crime is often a very thin legal line. Eyewitnesses add another layer. Reports from LAX describe agitation, constant phone checking, snapped words to staff. This was not the calm confidence of someone heading to a luxury getaway. This was someone racing a clock. And when the Sussex communications machine, usually lightning fast with denials, stays silent, that silence speaks volumes. Now, let's widen the lens. Why Dubai and why now? Hollywood has cooled, streaming deals have stumbled, public approval has slipped. But Dubai offers something different: prestige without scrutiny, titles without tabloids, investors who care less about Twitter sentiment and more about perceived status. Reinvention thrives there, and with enough capital, almost anything is possible. Then there's Harry, isolated, financially vulnerable, emotionally exposed. Reports suggest local authorities may have been contacted, not for arrests, but for records. Imagine explaining this to a sheriff, son of a king, global figure, reduced to paperwork and disbelief. The fall is not just financial, it's psychological. And looming over all of this, like a storm cloud no one wants to name, are the children. Where are they? Who has access? Who has leverage? Custody disputes are brutal in one country. Stretch them across California, Britain, and potentially the Middle East, and they become a legal nightmare. Children, in situations like this, unfortunately become chess pieces. Meanwhile, across the ocean, the palace watches, quietly, publicly neutral. Privately, sources suggest phones have been ringing since dawn. King Charles briefed, Prince William briefed, and with that familiar mix of concern and grim validation. The warnings, the rushed decisions, the fractured support systems, all of it echoing now. If Harry seeks help, it won't be unconditional. Royal support comes with strings thicker than Buckingham Palace drapes. Return quietly, no interviews, no books, no public wars. Protection for exchange for silence. Safety for exchange for surrender. And Meghan, if the reports are even half true, she has executed a bold, almost cinematic pivot out of the Western media furnace and into a controlled, curated new arena. Where she goes next, what brand emerges, and how the narrative is spun will be fascinating to watch, because one thing is certain: this story is far from over. What we are witnessing is not just the possible collapse of a marriage, but the unraveling of a carefully sold myth. The modern royal fairy tale promised freedom, love, and independence. Instead, it may be ending with wire transfers, flight trackers, and lawyers billing by the minute. We'll keep watching, we'll keep connecting the dots, and as always, Royal Top Stories will be here, breaking it down with clarity, context, and just the right amount of raised eyebrow. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.